All right, so I got this all tore apart now so we can actually get a look at everything and see what we're dealing with. I had to clean all the wax, grease, and everything off of here because when this axle exploded, it just sprayed grease everywhere. I mean, look, it's all over the bottom of the strut. There's grease everywhere. Yeah, it kind of makes a mess when the axle explodes, but the spindle, which we literally just put on before we went to the racetrack, looks fine. I don't see any cracks, nothing. Cast aluminum like this doesn't usually bend, it just breaks. And it appears that took the hit well. I think that we took the hit primarily right on the wheel, almost flat the way we came in. So basically all it did was it just stuffed it back into here and collapsed this whole corner in, kinda. I might have to get the sledgehammer out and do some moving here. I mean, you can see it push the rocker. It crushed this corner right in pretty good. Bent this all around. Let me back out a little there. Yeah, it twisted some stuff up. Fender twisted up. This is all, I mean, we slam a lot of this back with a sledgehammer anyway for clearance so we can run the big tires. So a lot of this was already pushed in, but this out here was definitely still the same shape as it would have been from the factory, but now it's stuffed pretty good. From inside the car, this pillar here, I can actually see it dented where it kinked all this corner in, but that's not suspension. So as long as none of this moved, we should be okay. But you can see here where the strut came back and hit right there. The tie rod come back and hit in here and dented it a little bit. So I've been with the flashlight shining up inside here to see if the rail itself looks like it moved, and nothing appears like it moved. I'll have to get up top and open the hood and really look at it. You can see there's a little bit of a gap here, but that's this structure here has pushed back. I don't think any of this moved. Just the dents there from the strut hitting it. I gotta take the strut out and give it a really good look. It doesn't appear to be bent, which would be a miracle. The top bearing might be destroyed, but the actual strut seems okay. I'm gonna have to pull the spring and top bearing off and actually work it up and down and see if the shaft is bent. Brand new strut that we just put on. Yeah, so just looking at stuff. I'm gonna have to get the tape measure out and take some measurements on this subframe back to the chassis of the car and make sure nothing moved or twisted or shifted. That was a pretty good hit. So that's what we're doing now. Get her up in the air, take some measurements, get the flashlight to it, and really look at the frame rails, make sure that nothing moved in the suspension portion of the car. I really hope it's okay. I might have to pull this front fender off here and get a look at the actual rail itself up top here, make sure nothing moved. That was a substantial hit. So, but yeah, last time we did this and we nosed it in really hard, it was harder than this time. Last time we broke this mount here, so I've checked this mount. This mount looks good. Nothing appears to be cracked or broken or nothing. So I'd say we're probably okay because none of this stuff's broke. This front one looks good. This one's actually plastic, so you got to really look at this one too. But that looks good. The top one looked good. I looked at it at the track the night that it happened, but yeah, we got some investigating to do to make sure it's okay. Probably gonna pull that fender off and really take a look at that rail when I pull this strut out. Good times. All right, so basically what I'm doing here is there's a little oval hole right here in the unibody of the car, and I'm pulling angular measurement from that up to this hole here in the subframe, which is 46.25-ish, somewhere right about in there. Then you do it again from this way up to the same hole, and about 46.25-ish. So square still, which is good. Good that it's square. That's what we want. Now, if you're within an eighth, you're probably okay, because there is some slop, in these bolts here, in your cradle bolts. So, I mean, you have some slop there. You're probably okay as long as you're within an eighth of an inch. And we're still in the ballpark. So that is really good that stuff is still there. The cradle on this side where we took the hit seems to be good. I don't see any kinks or dents or caved in sections. short of right here, this weld appears to have a crack in it. It's got rust, little rust stain, like maybe there's a crack right there. So I might hit that with a die grinder and run a pass over it with the welder, because that definitely looks like it's probably got a crack in it. And we can't have that, so probably gonna have to put a pass of weld on that, but it doesn't look deformed. Right here that you can't see is where the control arm collapsed on itself and hit the cradle. There is a dent there. That's definitely a dent, which that dent there is probably what caused this crack. But like I said, I just measured square, and square looks good. So I think we're okay. I think it just dented the cradle right here where the control arm collapsed on it, which probably caused this crack here. So we'll weld this crack up. I think the cradle's good. I don't think the control arm moved up. Because I haven't unbolted, it's kind of hard to take a measurement right now. I guess I could try to make sure that this part here didn't move on here. And do the same thing, angular from like the ball joint back to that same spot, wherever it went. Where'd it go? Actually, we can go to these squares right here. So right about 39-ish for that one. The little squares in the chassis. About 39 1/8. But like I said, this one's all drooped down because there's no suspension hooked to it anymore. And it's a different control arm, so it's a little bit different. So yeah, it's about, we're within 1/8. But if this is bent and that control arm isn't where it was before, I mean, that's going to affect the way that car enters the corner. So I'm definitely, after I get the control arm bolted back up to the spindle and everything's back where it's supposed to be with a new tie rod, I'm going to take this measurement again and make sure that this isn't an issue. It looks okay, short of that dent on the outside. This part appears to be okay. I don't see any kinking. Now that I ran my finger across it, I'm questioning myself. I don't think so. This side looks completely different. So I think we're all right. I don't think we bent it. I hope we didn't bend it. I don't know. It almost looks like maybe it's got a little twist to it. But I got another cradle kicking around here someplace. I could swap it out. I don't know. I gotta take some more measurements after I get this bolted back together. And then we'll know for sure if we got a serious issue. This is the fun of racing. Good times. All right, so at this point, I had my dad and Don come up. We pulled tape measures. We stuck the level against it in a few different spots. Nothing appears to have moved in the suspension area. The top bar up here that you can't see behind this body panel definitely got pushed over a little bit and kind of twisted the front core support. So the hood pins and stuff are kind of weird. The fender alignment on the hood is a little off. Everything's closing, but it definitely moved a little bit of stuff there. But primarily the hit was right here. As you can see, the strut's gone now. I pulled it out, took it apart. It's dead. Top bearing shot and the shaft's bent. So on to right front strut number 4, which is supposed to be delivered today by 2 o'clock. Today is race day. I took the day off because I was hoping the parts would get here because we kind of got to get moving in the forward motion here. And we're waiting on a brake hose, a tie rod, and that strut. So I got a new bearing over there. I got the spring already compressed because I took it off the other strut. Everything's sitting there waiting for that new strut to arrive. Waiting for the hose, waiting for the tie rod. They're all in the same order. I ordered from Rock Auto earlier this week, but delivery today. So I checked the tracking, said it's out for delivery. It's supposed to be here by 2 o'clock. If it's not here by 2 o'clock, I'm going to have to jump in the truck and rip up to the auto parts store and grab the parts we need because we don't have an option. We got to get moving forward here. Spindle survived, bearing survived, the caliper's good, rotor's good. I got to put a new axle in it. That's sitting right here on the floor. I got a new tire mounted on the bead lock that was on the right rear. We took that off, mounted a new 215/75 for here. The tire that was on the right rear, we put on a different rim. That's mounted back up. Yeah, so we're waiting on parts. But Ransomville Speedway tonight, Blake Chafee Memorial Race, 1,000 to win. There's over $5,000 total in lap money and stuff, so could wind up being more than that depending on how it turns out. Really hoping my luck changes with the whole pin pull thing. We have not been doing well with that. So we need to make the pill draw. We need to get a good pill draw for the heat. We need to make the pill draw for the feature and then pull a decent pill for the feature. Even though we did technically start 13th last week and we were passing for 4th when the wreck happened, it's nice to be ahead of the wreck. It'd be nice to start up front and get out there and get moving before chaos starts to ensue. But that's where we're at. So when that stuff gets here, I'll throw this back together quick. We're gonna have to check the toe. I might have to do that at the racetrack because I think we're gonna be pulling it kind of close. But we're getting there. We will make it. We will be there. Even if I have to stop at the auto parts store and put the parts on the car at the racetrack, we're gonna make it. We're gonna be there. All right, we're here at Ransomville Speedway. As you can see, the car's back together. My FedEx parts truck never arrived, so I had to run out to Advance and grab all the parts we needed to get this thing back together. And then Stacy sent me a picture at 6:15 of the FedEx truck in my driveway. So yeah, that's how that went. But we're here, car's together, ran hot laps, it felt good. Then we ran out and did some laps with the kids, just for fun. And we are starting P2 in Heat 2, and Donnie is starting pole. So we're on the front row. My Aunt Karen told me a good number, and we're gonna send it. All right, so you just finished watching the heat race. Yeah, we won the heat race, which was the second heat, so that means we pull second pin. Being a special night, they did footballs. We pulled footballs, we signed them, and we threw them into the grandstands. My luck with pin pull did not get better. There were 12. I pulled 11. Not good. We made other mistakes too. So The tire that I mounted up was the only 215/75 I had that was in good enough shape to be a right front. Unfortunately, it was a 600 tread wear, which is way too hard, especially for the track conditions that we had for the feature. I did grind it and groove it and try to prep it and make it work, but about halfway through the feature, that tire just gave up. It worked good in the heat race and the track had a little moisture in it and the tire was fresh, but about halfway through the feature, that tire just, it didn't want to grip the track anymore. So I'll play the feature now. You can watch me struggle and try to pass people and get past and kind of not really go anywhere. I mean, we started 11th, we finished 6th, but yeah. So that's what we're doing. Behind me is my Enduro car. You've seen me pick this up in another video. This weekend is the Enduro at Genesee Speedway. It's 2,000 win, so we're trying to prep this thing and get it ready for that. I will have to find a place to mount the GoPro for this. I'm thinking maybe putting it like down lower, maybe on the dash or right on the back of the hood, but there's probably gonna be a lot of mud. So I'm not sure how well that's gonna work. And they're making us take the windshield out, unfortunately. So we can't just hide it behind the windshield. But I'll find a place for the GoPro. Maybe I'll put it up there inside that little teepee. Try to protect it a little bit. Maybe we'll stick it right inside there and then put a piece of, I don't know, plexiglass across the front of it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But find a place for the GoPro. That's this weekend. Enjoy the feature video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click like and subscribe down below there. And we'll catch you next time.